73 Front Street is the address of one of his companies, and it's obviously not this bike shop.
Yeah.
Has any other reporter come by asking about that?
No.
The flow through of the funds go to Canadian entities who then pay the taxes appropriately, as opposed to taxes being paid multiple times.
All right. Brookfield Bermuda, Brookfield Infrastructure Partners, Renewable Partners, Property Partners, Business Partners. That's on the 5th floor. So they really are here. It's not just the bike shop. So I'm glad to know that there are some Brookfield people here in Bermuda. It's not just a P.O. box. But is it really the principal executive office for the various funds? I find that hard to believe.
I'm afraid I have no comment, and I can't help you.
Can you tell me what you do here?
No.
Hi, everybody. Ezra here. We just landed in Bermuda. It is 12:31 local time, which means we have exactly 2 hours to do our investigations because boarding for our flight home is actually at 2:50. So we should be at the airport by 2:30. We got to get cracking. Just a little FYI, Bermuda, even though there's some lovely palm trees and it's just beautiful beaches, it's not actually in the tropics. It's sort of the mid-Atlantic. It's actually the same temperature as Toronto, but I'm wearing shorts because why not? This is a lovely island with its own history going back centuries, actually. It even has its kind of own accent. It's got its own culture here. Of course, hundreds of years ago, the economy was much different. Today, Bermuda makes its living in financial services, insurance companies, for example. But the reason we're here is to track down why Mark Carney loves it. He loves the tax evasion. You probably heard of the myth of the Bermuda Triangle, a place that would swallow up boats, even swallow up planes. I don't know much about that, but I do know that Bermuda helps oligarchs like Mark Carney and his Brookfield Asset Management make billions or even tens of billions of dollars disappear before the tax man can go after them. Brookfield Asset Management that Mark Carney ran until just a few weeks ago stashed tens of billions of dollars here in Bermuda, including 2 funds that Mark Carney himself was personally responsible for. One of $10 billion and one was $15 billion. But hey, a billion here, a billion there, it all adds up, doesn't it? It's just incredible. I don't know if you remember, but the CBC asked a single critical question of Mark Carney during the entire campaign, and it was, why don't you disclose and divulge your assets? And he got prickly. Remember that? He told the CBC to look within herself. Remember?
I'm complying with the rules in advance. Point final.
Are you saying you are not open to any conflict of interest?
Yes.
Someone who spent most of his life in the private sector. There's no possible conflict of interest in your assets. It's very difficult to believe.
Look inside yourself, Rosemary. I mean, you start from a prior of conflict and ill will. I have served in the private sector. I have stood up for Canada. I have left my roles in the private sector at a time of crisis for our country. I'm complying with all the rules. Your line of questioning is trying to invent new rules. I'm complying with the rules that Parliament has laid out and the responsibilities of the Ethics Commissioner. And I will continue to comply with those rules.
I want to read to you his exact words when he was asked to explain why he was hiding his corporate taxes in Bermuda and normal Canadians had to pay it. Let me just read this and tell me if you can make any sense of this. He said, the taxes are in fact paid in Canada because, quote, the flow through of the funds go to Canadian entities who pay the taxes appropriately, as opposed to taxes being paid multiple times before they get there. So he's saying, well, listen, the people who are getting rich ultimately live in Canada, so they're ultimately paying the taxes. Well, if that's true, why weren't these multi-billion-dollar businesses registered in Canada? I mean, Mark Carney moved Brookfield's head office to the United States, but these funds go back several years. If it's all about making Canadians wealthier, why didn't he locate them in Canada? I think he's got a trouble with telling the truth. And I say again, he still owns $6.8 million worth of stock options. Everyone knows he owns it. For example, the firms that are located here in Bermuda are solar panel firms and wind turbine firms. They're not operating in Bermuda. They just have a mailbox here, a shell company, a straw man officer. They're not actually operating here. He chose this place for secrecy and for lack of taxes. He's avoiding Canadian taxes. I was looking through some of the filings of one of his companies, and normally you have a board of directors that are actually human people. In Bermudian law, you can have a managing partner instead of a board of directors, but the managing partner can be another company. So you have a company that's the director of another company that's a director. It's a shell game that it's so tricky the way he hides from taxes. And I'm not saying it's a crime, although I remind you that the Canada Revenue Agency is after him. But if he's now the one who is collecting taxes from you and me, if they're hiring more tax collectors to go after average people in Canada, you'd think the least the Prime Minister would do is pay his damn taxes in our own country. All right, let's go down to 73 Front Street to see this global office of the $25 billion solar power company. What a liar Mark Carney is. Let's go take a look. I'm wearing my Bermuda shorts. I'm in Bermuda. I'm tracking down Mark Carney's global address for Brookfield Asset Management. 73 Front Street. Hang on. Is that really the principal executive offices of Brookfield Asset Management's environmental funds? $25 billion worth of assets. The bike shop on the main floor, and it looks like, I don't know if those are offices upstairs, but Brookfield swore a statement with the Securities and Exchange Commission in the United States, and they published it to their investors, that was the principal executive office for not just the $25 billion in environmental funds that I mentioned, but for tens of billions of other funds. Why would you do that? By the way, this looks like an amazing street. There's Flanagan's Irish Pub. There's pubs all the way down here. It's a bit of a party street. Look at that. There's Gringo Mayo. That looks pretty fun. Of course, we're right down at the waterfront. Absolutely gorgeous here. About 65,000 people here in Bermuda. But I do not believe that Brookfield Asset Management is actually here in any real sense other than a mailbox and someone who is in the filings the principal boss. Jane Shear is the boss at the address of the principal executives. Do you think Jane is here? Do you think she runs Brookfield Asset Management's $25 billion environmental funds? Let's go in and find out. All right, it's 1:24. I tell you that because we've only got about 1 hour left before we've got to fly. I just went into 73 Front Street. I went into the Winner's Edge bike shop and I talked to the friendliest fella. There's actually a Bermudian accent and I think it's lovely. This is an amazing island that has an interesting ethnic mix as well. I think there's almost a Bermudian ethnicity. Part African-American, part white, part Portuguese, part indigenous. Anyways, don't get me started on these lovely Bermudians. I went in there and the friendly fella said he's got nothing to do with Brookfield Asset Management. He just runs a bike shop, but he heard for the first time about Brookfield when CTV published a picture of their front edifice. He said that was the first time he heard about it. I asked him, had any journalist ever popped by? He said, no, of course not. Yeah, I got a question for you. It's not really about bikes. I'm from Canada, and I don't know if you heard, but we got a new Prime Minister, and 73 Front Street is the address of one of his companies, and it's obviously not this bike shop.
Yeah.
Has any other reporter come by asking about that?
No.
Not a single reporter. Have you ever heard of this before?
Yeah, we saw an article about it in the CTV.
Oh, really? What did you think of that article? Yeah.
Not much about it.
Not much about it.
We're just a bike shop in their building.
Yeah. So there is something else going on? Like there's offices upstairs?
Yeah.
How would I get there? Like, is there a stairs or?
You would have to go, so you got the door, and then you go, there's a little alleyway on the left side.
Yeah.
And then there's a door there. I'm not sure if it's a key card. It might be a key card. So.
Okay. Have you ever met anyone from Brookfield Asset Management?
Nope.
No? Have you ever heard of it other than that CTV article?
Like here, the building over that's getting built. Yeah.
Oh, they're building a building.
Yeah.
Okay.
That building that's going up right there, that's Brookfield's building.
All right. Well, thanks very much for telling me.
You're welcome.
Okay, cheers.
Have a good rest of your day, sir.
You too.
Good luck with your reporting.
Thank you. Why would anyone seek to investigate Mark Carney's $25 billion tax evasion? That's not in the public interest. So he said he hadn't heard about any of that. He didn't even know Mark Carney. But he did say that above is a Brookfield Asset Management address. And he told me to go around the corner where it says 73 and see if I can buzz my way in. So I'll do that. He said one more thing on my way out. He said that this construction over there is a Brookfield Asset Management construction. And I looked that up, and indeed it is. And Brookfield is being sued by shareholders in a company called Argo, who claim that Brookfield did not properly disclose important information in the shareholders' battle. I'm not going to get too deep into it, but the point is Brookfield is building an asset here, but it's not their environmental sustainable project. That's not a $25 billion building. That's just an office building, because I guess they're tired of being above the bicycle shop. So there is a presence of Brookfield Asset Management, or at least there will be when that's done. For now, 73 Front Street is just a bike shop and some offices above. I say again, here's the scam. If you're wondering why we're here and what the problem is, it's this. Mark Carney was the chairman of Brookfield Asset Management. He personally chaired two progressive environmentalist funds that were all about solar panels and wind turbines. Fair enough. I really don't care about that. What I care about is that he lied. He said this is the principal executive offices of those $25 billion in managed asset funds so that he could avoid paying taxes in Canada. He lied when he said that's the principal executive offices. Do you think that you've got $25 billion worth of managers and builders and executives for wind turbines and solar panels up there? I can promise you they don't. And that's the problem. It's bad enough if Mark Carney was hiding his company's assets and income from Canadian taxes. But to lie about it and to keep holding on to $6.8 million worth of stock options, pretending he doesn't still have a stake in it, and then make you pay all of his taxes. What a hypocrite we've got as a prime minister. All right, it's 1:28. I'm going to go around to see if we can ring the doorbell and find this corporate headquarters. What a laugh. All right, so far I don't see it. I see Beesmont, Hamilton Legal, Harney's. I see Christen and Company. I don't know what these things are, but I don't see Brookfield. Let's go in and see what we can find. 73 Front Street. It's a very lovely building. So it's not just the bike shop. Let's see what we can find. There's some floors there. All right, Brookfield Bermuda, Brookfield Infrastructure Partners, Renewable Partners, Property Partners, Business Partners. That's on the 5th floor. So they really are here. It's not just the bike shop. And that's the one that's got the $25 billion. Let's see what they have to say. Hi. Hi, how are you? Is Jane Shear in, please?
No.
No. What's your name? I'm Ezra Levant from Canada.
Ezra.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Is Jane available?
No, I'm afraid not.
I have a question maybe you could help me with.
Sorry,
No.
I can't, no.
No? Is there anyone I can talk to who can...
No, I can get you get you some of our PR people.
Would they really talk to me, though? I don't think they talk.
I don't know. That's all I'm allowed to do, I'm afraid.
Okay. So I'm glad to know that there are some Brookfield people here in Bermuda. It's not just a P.O. box. But Is it really the principal executive office for the various funds? I find that hard to believe.
I'm afraid I have no comment on that. I can't help you.
Can you tell me what you do here?
No.
What's your name?
No.
You
Sorry.
don't wanna- okay. Well, you'd be polite to talk to me at all. That's more than Mark Carney himself has done. So I won't impose upon you. But perhaps I can take you up on your offer of those corporate spokesmen.
All right, if you could wait for 1 minute.
I will.
I'll see if I can find the information.
Thank you.
It seems reasonable.
Well, it took so long, it wasn't what I thought it
No,
was.
well, you're so helpful.
Suzanne Fleming.
Suzanne Fleming, 212-41. Okay, well, thanks for your help. You know, you were very courteous, and I know we sort of surprised you here.
It is a bit of a surprise,
Yeah,
but good luck.
thank you. It's a lovely place. Just, have you been here for a long time?
Yeah, I've been here for a while. If you get a chance to get out to the beaches before you leave, please do.
Thank
They're
you.
worth it.
Thanks for being friendly. Cheers. See you. Bye. Well, our friend here was very helpful. He gave us Susan Fleming's phone number in New York, looks like. I'll give Susan Fleming a call. I am a little bit skeptical that she'll answer our questions, but you never know. We'll give her a try. We'll let this fella go. Well, I think things go pretty easy peasy here in Bermuda. It's not part of the Caribbean, it's further north, it's in the Atlantic, but they have that friendly, easygoing style to them. So we did go up to Brookfield on the 5th floor, and they opened the door and had a very brief chat with us, but they were certainly friendly. In fact, they gave us some recommendations to go to hit the beaches afterwards. Brookfield indeed does have a handful of people up there. They do have one floor in this very small building. But I can tell you, just from peering around the corner, this is not the executive offices. It's full of a handful of probably clerks or form filler outers just to keep the technical formalities legal. Brookfield Renewable Partners and these other companies do business around the world. The reason why they have this office here in the tourist section of Bermuda is so they can avoid paying taxes in Canada. That's what's so crazy. Mark Carney made the decision as the chairman of Brookfield that he would rather hide money here in Bermuda than pay taxes back home. And he's still doing it with his own stock options. Let's go and see what people on the street have to say. Did you know that Mark Carney, Canada's Prime Minister, set up offices in this building? What do you think of that? Did you know that?
I had no idea.
What?
No, I didn't know that.
I bet it's not surprising, though. A lot of foreigners stash millions here in the country, in Bermuda. What do you think?
Well, sadly, I'm not one of them, but yeah.
You and me both.
News to us.
All right, it's 1:47. The reason I keep telling you that is we have got to get back to the airport in about 45 minutes. That is how brief our stay here is. It's just a place for really the locals or the elite. Hotels here start at just under $1,000 a night, so we've got a short amount of time. I went in there and I did find some Brookfield employees, but I didn't find an executive suite. I didn't find the people, the principal executives of the company, which is the wording in their SEC declaration. I did get from a friendly guy in there, I mean, he was friendly enough, a phone number for a Brookfield spokesperson in New York City. I'll give her a call in a moment. I also tried doing some man on the street interviews here, and it wasn't that fruitful because I think people who are here working in the financial services industry, they don't want to badmouth it. They don't want to talk down about oligarchs stashing money here in a tax-free way. That's sort of what Bermuda does. I mean, it's most famous for the Bermuda Triangle, which disappears ships. But I think the real Bermuda Triangle is disappearing cash, so the revenue tax collector can't get their hands on it. It's just when you ask people in Bermuda how they feel about tax havens, they're going to say, yeah, that's how we live and have a beautiful life here. And they absolutely, certainly do. I wish that in some way I would be liberated from my taxes. Alas, I'm just a mere Canadian. Having a tax dodge like this is a benefit that only the elites get, including, bizarrely, our Prime Minister. All right, it's 1:49. We're going to get in the vehicle and start heading back to the airport. And I'm going to get some questions ready for the Brookfield spokesperson if she even answers her phone. Talk to you soon. All right, well, it's 2:04 p.m. and we're actually making our way back to the airport now. Our flight boards, they say, at 2:50. but that's when you have to get on the plane. There's security and all that beforehand. We have no luggage, but we better get there because I wouldn't want to be stranded here. But as you saw, the friendly fella who answered the door, didn't let us in, of course, didn't say his name, didn't really answer any questions substantively. He did take the time to look up the name of a spokesperson in New York City for Brookfield, Suzanne Fleming, and gave me her phone number. I'm guessing that by now he's also emailed or called Suzanne to let her know of our appearance. So I'm going to call Suzanne right now on my phone. And I don't have scripted questions, but they're the kind of questions I've been asking in this video so far. Why was Bermuda chosen? Is it true that that's the principal executive office? And we'll just see what she says from there. So I'm going to dial her right now. It's ringing.
Hello?
Oh, hi, Suzanne. It's Ezra Levant calling from Rebel News. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Great. I was just in your Bermuda office and I spoke to the gentleman there and he gave me your phone number. Is this a good time to call right now?
It's actually, I'm just actually heading into a meeting. Is there any chance you could send me an email?
Sure. But I only have a couple quick questions and that really is, I just really have one actually, which is we just visited the offices in Bermuda and they're small offices and yet your SEC filing says that that is actually the principal executive office for various Brookfield asset management companies with $50 billion in assets. So is it true?
So for this,
Yeah.
you're gonna need to send me an email for this.
Okay.
So it's first name dot last name at .com.
Okay. And I just want to make sure I got your spelling right.
Fleming.
Okay. And so it's just
SUZANNE
perfect.
.FLEMING. Okay?
At .com.
Thanks so much.
Okay. Bye.
Correct.
Thank you.
Wonderful. I look forward to hearing from you.
Thanks. Bye-bye. You know, that's fair enough. It sounds like she wasn't given the heads up by her colleague here. And it is a question that if you weren't prepared for it, you need a little bit of time to answer. Fair enough. And I'm not looking to gotcha. I think the facts are the powerful thing here. I don't need to surprise anybody. So I will send that email to her. I'm not going to type it in the car. I'll get car sick. But when we're at the airport, which should be in about 20 minutes, I will send her that question and a few others that come to mind. And I'm saying this now at 2:07 p.m. on Wednesday. And we're not going to put this video out until Thursday. So she will have time to give an answer, even if it's just an answer to blow me off, which I think will happen. I don't think Brookfield is in the habit of answering prickly questions, certainly not from independent journalists like Rebel News. But the facts are the facts. Their Bermuda office, it's not just a P.O. box like the Isle of Man office for Brookfield, which was literally someone's home apartment. I think I'll ask her about that too. But here there were a handful of people. There's no lie to it. But is it really the principal executive offices of Brookfield? And is that really enough to shield $50 billion from income and other taxes in Canada, including the $25 billion that were personally directed by Mark Carney? I'll see what she says. I'll put those questions to her. I'll show you my questions too. All right. We'll be at the airport pretty soon. I'll have more for you later.